Director Brian Trenchard Smith and stunt coordinator Grant Page have been working together since 1974 and The Stunt Man. We spoke to them about the physics and physicality of stunt work, the wild old days of filmmaking in the 70s, and how The Man from Hong Kong has become an unlikely milestone in the history of Australian cinema.
Well, I think it's its irreverent sense of fun, its extremely fast pace, and the fact it delivers a good punch-up every 10 minutes. And sometimes the punch-ups go on for 10 minutes, so you hardly have time to draw breath before you're into the next action set piece. I mean, I designed it along a formula: one action scene, one dialogue scene, one action scene, one dialogue scene. Somewhat limiting formula, possibly, for a writer, but I didn't have Shakespearean aspirations. I wanted to amuse the widest possible audience, laughs and gasps.
Thank God for that! Thought you were never stopping.
Where the hell has he got to?
Probably gone to lunch. Hey!
When I left Channel 9, I decided that the safest thing to make that would get me my money back would be something involving action, because action is the universal currency of the movie market. So I decided to, I couldn't afford to make a feature film full of stunts, so I thought I'd make a quasi dramatized documentary about stuntmen and how they did their stunts. And I had this stuntman, Bob Woodham, who was a great stuntman, and he was basically the lead guy, and he brought in specialists to help demonstrate all the other kinds of stunts. And Grant was one of the specialists that he brought in.
I'd actually been a friend of Bob Woodham's when I was in the Commandos in very early days, and in those days Bob was very keen on learning new things in that field, and we were first starting the first concepts of abseiling, and Bob took that to England.
If you see You Only Live Twice, and you see the mass abseiling into the volcano by the ninjas, Bob is one of those guys sliding down the rope, and he had been taught rope sliding by Grant.
At that stage it wasn't even called abseiling, there was no name for it, and it was just an army exercise to get down cliff faces under fire in a hurry, and it just developed from that. It was the association with Bob that introduced me to Brian. Brian is the reason that I'm in the game.
Yeah.
It was that the two of us had something to offer each other. Brian was looking for action, and I'd been in the Commandos, and I was looking for somewhere to use my action, which has nothing to do with film at the time, but Brian was the one that inspired me, that what I'd always been doing all my life for fun, we could actually make a living out of it. It appeared to be mad, because if you didn't realise how much work we put into making ourselves safe, it'd look ridiculously mad. But the essence of stunts is to make it look as dangerous as possible and make damn sure it's not. Because the law of averages will work against you. If you run 1% risk, which somebody in sport can, but we do 100 stunts continuously. It means once every 100 stunts we're in trouble. No. You can't run the risks that a sportsman can. If we get as much injury as the average sportsman playing football on a weekend, we're not doing a job well. So even before CGI, we had the ability to play with lenses and camera speeds, and so many of those things could be used to emphasize or even exaggerate the action. So there's been many kinds of mechanisms that have been used since the beginning of filmmaking. I mean, Harold Lloyd did some classic stuff in the 20s, where hanging off a clock tower by the minute hand, and the thing's stretching out and the whole clock goes, and he's hundreds of feet above the street. But when you see a wide shot, he's actually only about 5 feet above the rest of the roof of the building.
Yeah.
So those tricks have been going since the 20s.
Yeah.
We just got better at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's what the audience, what you allow the audience to see, as opposed to what is really there. I mean, a lot of stunting is in where you place the camera, and in how you divide up the particular event into coverage, and you make it look like it was all done in one fluid movement, but maybe you just did 3 parts of it and joined them together invisibly. Though some of the best, the most breathtaking stunts are the ones where they just plain do it. The catapult stunt off the Gap in Sydney, where he's hanging onto a rope that's you know, as taut as a bowstring. You hold that in one unbroken shot, and people think, wow, he did that? There are no tricks, no tricks.
I might add there are 8 damn good commandos on the other end of the rope. Yes. And that's the one thing you do need in all of this work. Yeah. You need incredible backup.
Nobody is safe from the man from Hong Kong.
The seat-of-the-pants filmmaking without high-tech, and where you had to use your ingenuity to create things that might, you know, have been created in other ways in mainstream Hollywood. But we learned on the job, and with each new experience, we knew better how to perfect the look and how to keep the safety margins right.
One thing I do feel about that, though, is that during all of that period of time, through those decades when we were doing stuff that appeared so dangerous, nobody ever got hurt.
Tell me about this adrenaline business, because I think it works for both of you, doesn't it?
It's a thing when the animal, the human animal that we are, needs to know that at that moment it's being put under pressure. It has to either hunt for food or defend itself against death. And that's a very important part. I think part of our society now that doesn't give people adrenaline is letting them down and letting them age too much. Adrenaline keeps you young. It is one of the best ways of, you know, forget the vitamin Bs and the vitamin Cs, just get some adrenaline.
Yeah.
And many thanks to Grant Page for all of that incredible rare footage from his personal archives.